called the wife, didn't want him around. Was he creeping around doing things in the dark like he was doing in Pennsylvania? Lab partner didn't think he would be the type, just an odd guy. Another guy speaking about some pool party that he recognized him again 2 times somewhere else. You see, you don't know people. That's the thing. He was a stranger, but maybe he was a deliberate stranger. Back home, he was on the radar at a brewery, asking women where they live. That's something a man should never ask a woman, where she lives. Ever. And you shouldn't tell a person where you live, because it's none of their business. So you have to ask yourself, was he hunting even back in Pennsylvania? Where do you live? Why? I don't know you. See, you don't know people. And that's what I'm saying with all this extra chit chat about Bryan Kohberger. Naturally, people will come out and start talking and start telling things about their run-ins with him. But I won't doubt that when he was at Washington State, that he was creeping around, doing stuff in the dark, lurking. They say he had a death stare. That is creepy. Looking at a person, and maybe they're sizing you up. Maybe you feel like you're being sized up by talking to this person. It's very strange. But that's the whole point. People can be odd, strange acting, ask weird questions, but you don't think that they're going to kill you, or they're a killer, or that they're a rapist or a child molester. You know, the worst thing uh, a human can be, these sadists. Hello, Crazy P. Thank you for joining me. This is brief. I thought I had more time, but I don't. But I just wanted to let you know that it's the obvious. He possibly was a deliberate stranger. I mean, I'm not going to say he just popped up where this one guy showed up somewhere, but he was lonely. That's obvious. That's why he latched on to that guy, perhaps. He wants friends. He wanted friends. He couldn't make friends because he doesn't know how to talk to people. He doesn't know how to conduct himself. He doesn't know how to engage with people. So therefore, he seems overly eager to talk. And then when he's talking, he's, cocky, arrogant, and has a know-it-all attitude because he never learned how to conduct himself. Hello, Pen 10. Thank you for joining me. He never learned how to conduct himself with either man or woman. I don't think it really matters. The neighbor saying he talked to him about the crimes afterwards, that it was a crime of passion. Well, one could say, how could it be a crime of passion when you never knew the victims? If we're to believe Kohberger is the suspect, you didn't know those girls. They didn't know you. You didn't know Ethan. They weren't your friends. You all didn't hang around each other. They brought no information to say that any of these people knew one another, Kohberger or the victims. So to even say that, one would wonder if he was just putting on just to make conversation. See, you don't know because guess what? 9 times out of 10, he's a pathological liar like most sadists. I think we know this from serial killers, rapists. They're not usually truth tellers. They don't tell the truth. They don't know how to tell the truth. And Kohberger strikes me as somebody who would just talk to hear himself. That's what he would do. Talk to hear himself. Whine on anyone's shoulder because he was bored. He was lonely. He wanted friends. He wanted interaction with outsiders, but somehow he didn't know how to interact. So now you have to ask the ultimate question. How did he interact with his family? We know that he has a sister, parents, aunts, uncles. How did he talk to them? What did they talk about when they were around each other? Did he talk to them in a respectful manner, or did he also have a know-it-all attitude? And I can't see you turning that know-it-all attitude off. You go out in the street, you're cocky, you're arrogant, but when you're at home with your friends and family, or your family, he's sullen. I doubt that. He probably was the same with them, and they just tolerated him because they're related to him, which many of us have done it. We tolerate people because they're our family members, or they tolerate us. It's a two-way street. But I wonder if he was gawking around at Washington State, and that's why that neighbor's wife didn't want him to come into their apartment. Maybe she saw things that the husband didn't see. Maybe he lurked around doorways, stood outside doorways and doors too long. Like waiting, lying in wait. And maybe she looked at her peephole one day and saw this behavior. Maybe she went in one day and just had a creepy feeling to look back out the peephole. Maybe he was just standing there, gawking at her door or standing at her door. See, you don't know. Because if he was putting things in bags when he got arrested, he's caught on surveillance putting things in the trash and neighbors' trash bins in little bitty baggies, then what the hell do you think he was doing in Washington State? Stalking those kids, stalking probably other females, stalking other people. You have no idea what he was doing in Washington State, and you have no idea what he was doing when he was in Pennsylvania. We have no idea when he decided to get this idea to kill these kids or to kill in general. So then you have to ask that question. Was it just something specific about these girls that he just felt like he had to murder them? Angry because there was no response? Or he's always wanted to kill a person, and then he got to Washington State, found a targets, and then lashed out? What's the truth? He got the feeling in Washington or the feeling in Pennsylvania? Did he move to Washington State to become a killer? Move far away from his jurisdiction where nobody could see him, follow him, anything come up, nobody would ever hear about it? Let's just say he was peeping through a window. Wouldn't you rather get arrested in Washington than Pennsylvania, where your family members live, where people can hear it through the grapevine? Of course. See, we really don't know how deep this whole rabbit's hole goes with him. How deep it goes. When did he decide to become a killer? How long has he been feeling this way? What was so special about those girls? Why did he kill those girls and their friend Ethan? Who was the target? Or was it all of them? They all got the brunt of it just because they were there or they were friends with the target. Was Maddie the target? Was he stalking other women at WSU and also in Idaho or any other neighboring states? Was he stalking women back in Pennsylvania? See, you don't know. But I know one thing. He is a deliberate stranger, because when he decided to stalk these girls, go over to Idaho to run around on their street, campuses, restaurants, wherever they frequent, he became the deliberate stranger, such as Theodore Bundy. And many of you probably have seen that movie that aired on TV probably 30 plus years ago. But that's what I think of with him, with Kohberger, the deliberate stranger. He is definitely stranger danger. He is that person that you may not think of him as a killer, but you think of him as creepy, odd, peculiar, but you don't think he would kill you. But perhaps that lady across the hall knew more than the rest of us. She saw something at that apartment complex. She witnessed something at that apartment complex, or she just had a gut feeling or discernment that, hey, something's not right with that guy across the hall. I don't want him in my house. I don't want him around my family. There's nothing wrong with being different. We are all different. We are all made different, come from different backgrounds, family dynamics, different races, height, weight. But we don't know one another. And you don't know the people beside you that live near you, above you, under you, across the hall, across the street. And that's the scary part about living. And naturally, people are going to come out and give little bits and pieces of what they knew of him. And some may exaggerate, because you have a lot of people that will put on and make up stuff as well. But I'm sure there's some truth to some of the things that are being said about him by students, lab partner, the neighbor across the hall, another person living in a complex that had a conversation after the crime, the text message about him wishing somebody happy Thanksgiving. Hell yeah, that's creepy. You just murdered kids, and 11 days later, you're wishing someone happy Thanksgiving. Well, what about the Thanksgiving for Xana, Maddie, Kaylee, Ethan? There was no Thanksgiving for them, no Thanksgiving for their parents. Their parents got to dying without their children. Who wants to celebrate the holidays without their kids? Knowing your kids were brutally murdered. This is how you know he is detached from the world. Killed some kids brutally, been stalking them, and then wishes someone happy Thanksgiving. Jacked up. Stranger danger. Bryan C. Kohberger. He's that guy. He's that creepy guy. He's that guy that's been lurking around. And frankly, that stuff going on about him at that brewery in Pennsylvania and him being on the radar there, they should have asked him not to come back. They should have either warned him that he's making the guests uncomfortable. I don't know if they did or not, but let's just say they didn't. They should have warned him once or asked him to leave and not come back. That's how you put a stop to that. And you also alert authorities. And that way they can be on the lookout. Because see, it'll be interesting to find out that he's been lurking around in Pennsylvania on those campuses where he went to school, neighborhoods, grocery stores. Won't that be interesting to find out? Somebody else has a story to tell about Bryan Kohberger in Pennsylvania, in Washington, in Idaho, and God knows where else. We'll wait and see. Thank you for joining me. If you'd like to donate to this great network, $Big Angie 129 Cash App. I'll stick some chats and welcome during my live streams. I got to head out of here. I got a delivery to make, but I thank you all for your time. I'll come back and we'll chop this up a little bit longer. I mean, another time when I have more time to, just really sit and just dissect things with you about these people coming out talking about Kohberger. But just be aware of your surroundings, ladies, men as well. Be careful who you talk to on social media and in public, because one thing we keep doing is, throwing gasoline on social media. But what people need to understand is all these people on social media, these are still regular people who use social media maybe to their advantage to manipulate, con people, hurt people. But in the end, they're still people. And if there was no social media, they would still be these creepy people. That's what you need to remember. Social media or not, these people are walking around you. And they're just using social media perhaps as a tool to harm people. So you need to be aware of people no matter where you are, where you go, who you're around, neighbors, co-workers, students, it's all the same. Be careful what you tell people. Be careful giving out personal information. Be careful of people in your inboxes, messaging you, emails, sending you friend requests. Just be wary. Just be aware. Everybody's not your friend. And God knows you do not want to cross the path of anyone such as Bryan C. Kohberger, because there are more of him out there, sadly. He's not the first and he won't be the last. I want to thank you for joining me. God bless all of you. Have a wonderful weekend. You have been listening to The Vault XL. Thank you.